with all pleasure and with honor and privilege, invite Lieutenant General AbdulRahmonDambazau to come and lead us in this discussion. Thank you.
The distinguished chairman and my brother, the distinguished senator, other members of the panelists representing the service chiefs and Inspector General of Police, DGSS, our distinguished senators-elect and honorable members-elect here present. Feel highly honored to be here to make this presentation on security sector governance. But first, I want to congratulate all of you for having the mandate to represent your various constituencies in the National Assembly. I've been requested to lead a panel discussion on security sector governance as part of the induction program for you, senators and members-elect. Consequently, as the lead panelist, I'm expected to give a brief presentation position on the thematic area as basis for discussion. So what has the legislature got to do with security sector governance? Plenty, I will say. Firstly, Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 has vested the National Assembly with the powers, and I quote, to make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of the Federation with respective matters on the exclusive legislative lists. This list, which is set out in Part 1 of the second schedule of the Constitution, includes several aspects of national security, such as arms, ammunition, and explosives, defense, military, that is Army, Navy, Air Force, police and other security services, customs, immigration, prisons, etc. Secondly, the National Assembly has the power of oversight of the executive arm of government as it relates to control over public funds, fundamental human rights, the rule of law, armed forces of the Federation, the police, and other MDAs under the executive. Power may connote different meanings in different parliamentary contexts. Firstly, you as parliamentarians have the constitutional mandate and resources to carry out the task of oversight without hindrance. And secondly, you have sufficient independence from the government to oversee it effectively in line with constitutional checks and balances. The security sector is composed of all structures, institutions, and personnel responsible for security provision, management, and oversight, including both military and non-military security institutions, and state and non-state actors. This is an expanded definition which includes even the legislature responsible for oversight and the ministries responsible for supervision and management. However, for the purpose of our discussion today, especially seeing the list of panelists, we are looking at the security sector from much narrower angle of security providers, specifically the military, police, and intelligence services. It is important, however, to draw our attention to the fact that the 1994 UN Development Report has redefined national security, not just in terms of the traditional military security, but also includes aspects of human security. This new definition covers two major freedoms. That is freedom from fear and freedom from want. These freedoms correspond to the preamble of the 1999 Constitution, which states that the purpose of the document is to promote the good governance and welfare of all persons in our country. Likewise, Section 14B states that, and I quote, "The security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government," and I unquote. Current global trends on national security focus on the people, is on the people rather than on the state. That is from an exclusive stress on territorial security to a much greater stress on people's security. From security through armaments to security through sustainable human development. According to the UN, the 7 pillars of human security are the economic, food, health, environmental, personal, community, and political security. The 1994 UN Development Report concludes that the world can never be at peace unless people have security in their daily lives, and that the search for security lies in development, not in arms. As the popular saying goes, a hungry man is an angry man. Permit me to please give analogy with the COVID-19 pandemic, which resulted in the death of many victims globally. In most cases, the conditions of victims attacked by the virus became serious due to underlying ailments, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and other medical conditions. The underlying conditions exacerbated their illness, which eventually led to death. In the same token, human security issues such as extreme poverty, unemployment, illiteracy, hunger, homelessness exacerbate the conditions of insecurity in our society. The 1994 report shows the correlation between human security and sustainable human development. The conventional state-centered model that primarily emphasized military aspects of security has been gradually complemented by a new concept that also recognizes non-military aspects of security and applies to people-centered approach. It is important, therefore, that our senators and members-elect understand the all-encompassing current UN definition of security to realign their perception of what constitutes security sector. The Organization of Security Cooperation in Europe relates security sector governance to the principles of good governance and how they apply to security provision, with the aim of meeting the security needs of all people in a society and making the most efficient and sustainable use of existing resources. In its simplest form, governance refers to the exercise of power and authority, or the processes that lead to public good for which security is one. As public good, security should be provided according to the same standards and principles as any other public service. Security sector governance is the process of making the sector more effective and accountable within the framework of democratic control, rule of law, and respect for human rights. Democratically governed security institutions, rooted in the rule of law and held accountable to legislative oversight, are critical to democracy. Thus, security sector governance is guided by the principles of accountability, transparency, rule of law, participation, responsiveness, effectiveness, and efficiency. Let's get familiarization with our security sector and security environment today. It is important for the senators and members-elect to appreciate the current state of Nigerian security environment. Our nation's security threats are largely internal, requiring the protection of individuals and communities as against threats from external attacks. The threats are majorly from non-state actors involved in terrorism, insurgency, violent extremism, banditry, kidnapping, and so on. The intractable hardest farmers' conflicts and the rampant ethno-religious crises are also pervasive. As a result of the insecurity, many lives have been lost and significant number of persons injured on a daily basis. There are also those who are displaced and caged in various camps as IDPs or refugees, estimated to be about 4 million. The humanitarian needs of these victims, especially the widows and orphans, are essential to the understanding of the current security environment. A lot of resources are needed to rebuild their communities and resettle them. Attacks on schools and the abduction of students have increased the population of out-of-school children, estimated to be about 18 million currently in Nigeria. It is equally of value for the senators and members-elect to know that cross-border criminal activities have negatively impacted on the security environment, leading to the proliferation of firearms, smuggling of dangerous drugs, and launching of terrorist attacks from territories of Nigeria's immediate neighbors. Nigeria's land and coastal borders of about 5,000 kilometers are extensive, requiring effective control and management. It is important for our senators and members-elect to appreciate the fact that because of the exposed and porous northern land borders, there are spillovers of the activities of terrorists and insurgents within the Lake Chad region and the Sahel. It was the realization of the regional security implications that led to the formulation of the Multinational Joint Task Force, with significant funding of the operations being undertaken by Nigeria. Nigeria's military is not only conducting counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations to protect communities in the Northeast, but also involved in regional stability of the Lake Chad region alongside Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. As senators and members of the National Assembly, you control the national purse through appropriation. Therefore, you should know that all these activities come with funding implications. Ensuring transparency and accountability in democracy through the process of oversight is a core function of National Assembly. The others being lawmaking and constituency representations. Parliamentary oversight is an important aspect of security sector governance. It is the process by which the National Assembly monitors, scrutinizes, reviews, and evaluates the performance of the executive or its agencies on a continuous basis to ensure effectiveness, efficiency, and good performance. It is part of the process for ensuring good security sector governance. Therefore, it is a critical component of legislative governance of the security sector. Parliamentary oversight is a constitutional mandate of all senators and members of House of Representatives, regardless of party affiliation. And it is also part of contract of trust between the parliamentarians and citizens. The effectiveness of Parliament depends on its consistency to question and prove government activities in a constructive manner for the benefit of citizens. Parliamentary oversight of the security sector is the foundation for efficiency and effectiveness of the security sector and in good security sector governance. The legislature holds the executive to account on behalf of the people it represents to ensure that government policies and actions are both efficient and commensurate with the needs of the people. Parliamentary oversight is also crucial in checking excesses on the part of the government by ensuring the adherence to the rule of law and respect for human rights. The quality of parliamentary oversight determines efficiency and effectiveness of the security sector. In other words, if the security sector falls short of standards required, the Parliament is also partly responsible. In carrying out the oversight functions, the main objective is to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the security sector. The Nigerian Constitution, the standing orders and rules of the Senate and the House, and the guide to National Assembly, which you should have been in position by now, indicate how you conduct the oversight. In general, the means of conducting oversight include questioning government officials, reviewing and confirming executive appointments, physical site or location visits, committee inquiries, and investigative hearings. Now, I want to dwell on the NAS committee system. Let me seek your indulgence to specifically discuss NAS committee system, which appears to be the main platform for conducting oversight in making the executive to account. I want to relate this to my experience as Chief of Army Staff and later Minister of Interior. I saw a situation in which the committee system was unwieldy, leading to unnecessary duplication of efforts and waste of valuable resources. I understand, however, that it is also a means of reward. It's also a means of reward to loyalists, especially those who support the emergence of respective NAS leadership. However, it could still be streamlined to achieve better quality oversight. In addition, my suggestion will encourage synergy, unity of purpose, economy of efforts, reduce or eliminate interagency frictions, and enhance collaboration, coordination, and cooperation among security sector providers. Consequently, may I suggest to the 10th Assembly that security-related committees should be realigned and streamlined in order to make them less complex and easier to carry out oversight functions. Rather than having a committee for each for defense, Army, Navy, and Air Force, for example, except for other exigencies, you may consider having one committee of defense, combining Ministry of Defense, Army, Navy, and Air Force. Likewise, there should be one Intelligence and Security Committee for oversight of the Office of National Security Advisor, the DSS, NIA, and DIA. I also recommend that there should be a committee on human security to oversight human security-related MDAs, such as ministries of health, education, environment, humanitarian affairs, and agriculture. Internal Security Committee should involve Ministry of Interior, Police, Civil Defense, Corrections, NDLE, and NIMS. I also think there should be a committee on public safety as part of internal security under the statutory mandate of Ministry of Interior as the lead, to include fire safety, road safety, aviation safety, industrial safety, etc. There should also be a border and cyber security committee that includes immigration, customs, NCC, and NAPTIP, which was the creation of our chairman. Now, as part of your oversight function, civilian and democratic control of the armed forces, especially the military, rests on your shoulders as legislators. It is all part of the drive towards good security sector governance. Although the primary agent of democratic control of the armed forces is the President as Commander-in-Chief, by virtue of Section 218, subsection 1 of the Constitution, which confers on him such powers, including the power to determine their operational use, and the power to appoint the CDS, service chiefs, and heads of other branches of the armed forces. Section 218, subsection 4, gives the National Assembly the power to make laws for the regulation of the powers exercisable by the President as Commander-in-Chief. Likewise, Section 5, subsection 4 and 5 provides that the President shall not declare war between the Federation and another country except with the sanction of a resolution of both houses of National Assembly sitting in a joint session, and that except with the prior approval of the Senate, no member of the armed forces of the Federation shall be deployed on combat duty outside Nigeria. No wonder you are told that that building is a powerhouse. Now, the idea of democratic control is to show the political supremacy of the democratically elected civilian authorities over the armed forces, and to ensure that the latter serve the interests of the population. Furthermore, since the purpose of the military is defending the society, political authorities are to ensure that the institution of the military is not misused for political purposes. Now, the challenges for the 10th Assembly on security sector governance. Remember that I mentioned earlier that security is a public good. In economics, a public good is said to have two characteristics. It is non-excludable, meaning that once the product is produced, it is impossible to prevent people from consuming or enjoying it. And that it is non-rival, meaning that regardless of the number of people that consume it, its usefulness cannot be diminished. This reasoning also applies to security. In this case, regardless of the political party affiliations, regardless of religious beliefs or ethnicity or region, a good security environment in Nigeria will benefit everyone. I mean everyone. And conversely, where security environment is bad, its effects spread on everybody. We experienced such in the recent past, especially on Boko Haram terrorism was at its peak. And we have been experiencing this with the threats of kidnapping on our roads, making everyone uncomfortable. The configuration of National Assembly is made of different political parties, regional interest blocs, and other groupings representing various interests. These interests must not be allowed to politicize security issues. Therefore, the National Assembly leadership faces the challenge of ensuring that members remain focused in carrying out their oversight functions, putting the interests of the nation first above all other interests. I'm saying this because just as we have a new National Assembly with most of its members coming for the first time, we are also going to have a new government that will introduce a new national security agenda. Of course, knowing that most of the nation members-elect are new, it means that there should be adequate arrangement for them to acquire reasonable amount of knowledge concerning security sector. This is a challenge that requires frequent training, seminars, conferences on the functions and responsibilities of the institutions that make up the security sector. It is only through such acquisition of knowledge that National Assembly members will be well placed to appreciate the problems and challenges of security providers within the security sector. Another challenge has to do with the overlapping mandates, particularly of law enforcement agencies such as the police, civil defense, and DSS, that have the mandates not only to enforce similar laws, but also to make arrests and prosecute violators. It is necessary for the security committees to work closely together through collaboration and coordination of the activities of the agencies as part of the oversight responsibilities. On the part of National Assembly membership, it is highly important that they protect security information they come across while carrying out their oversight functions. Information that is classified should remain as such, so that the confidence and trust between security providers and the legislature will increase the quality of oversight activities. Adequate funding of the security sector will certainly be a challenge, and I'm happy the chairman mentioned that for the 10th Assembly, most especially because there are other sectors that equally need your attention in the appropriation process. The security sector is no doubt a top priority, and it is the current state of insecurity that has been slowing down Nigeria's development processes. We have already identified the security threats Nigeria faces currently. We are aware of the fact that the military and law enforcement agencies must protect the land, air, and sea space, covering about 923,000 square kilometers and harboring over 200 million souls. We are also aware that the manpower strength of the military, police, and all other security agencies combined is less than 1 million. And we know that not only do these security providers require weapons and equipment, the welfare of the security personnel require constant attention. As part of its campaign promises to Nigerians, the Tinubu-Shettima National Security Agenda is prepared to tackle these challenges in collaboration with the National Assembly. And indeed, the main focus is on governance of the security sector. Now let me end my presentation with a discussion on the 7-point National Security Agenda intended to be executed by the incoming administration during the period of its mandate. The whole idea is to introduce the agenda to you, and I'm certain issues relating to it will come before you during the process of your oversight responsibility. The Tinubu-Shettima government has a 7-point national security agenda, which requires the support of the National Assembly in its implementation. This is not to say that you should compromise your powers of oversight, but to provide needed support for the government to succeed in carrying out the necessary reforms of the security sector and implementation of its national security policies. The National Assembly is no doubt both stakeholder and actor in the security sector. Therefore, the need for you to be conversant with the 7-point agenda of the incoming administration. The 7-point national security agenda is based on the conviction that national security is the bedrock of a prosperous and democratic society like ours. It focuses mainly on fighting to end terror, banditry, kidnapping, and violent agitation, realizing that the fundamental responsibility of government is to protect the lives and properties of its citizens, as I mentioned earlier. In doing so, the incoming government will mobilize the totality of Nigeria's national security, military, and law enforcement assets to protect all citizens from danger and from the fear of danger. The new government intends to expand and improve upon the use of technology, enhance recruitment of personnel, and bolster existing agencies and systems to achieve its fundamental national security goal. The administration will be committed to permanently securing the safety, freedom, and prosperity of all Nigerians by adopting a proactive and intelligence-driven security approach to sufficiently address the nation's security threats. The 7-point national security agenda are as follows. 1, bolster our security forces. This is to accelerate reforms of the Buhari administration in building a more robust, re-energized armed forces to include recruitment, training, better equipped additional military, police, paramilitary, and intelligence services. 2, redefine military doctrine and practice to create highly trained and disciplined anti-terrorist battalions with special forces units, the objective of which to seize the strategic and tactical initiative giving terrorists, kidnappers, and bandits no respite. Upgrade tactical communications and transportation. Upgrade weapon systems, exploit aerial and technological superiority, improve salaries and welfare, and win hearts and minds of the public. 3, secures critical national infrastructure. The incoming government will reinforce the statutory responsibility of the civil defense with a critical infrastructure protection plan to eliminate attacks on vital national infrastructure. It will involve deploying modern technologies, tools, and equipment to end crude oil theft. As you know, billions have been lost through oil theft, and prevent vandalism of national assets. Next, peaceful communities, secure borders, safe forests. The idea here is to enact measures necessary to secure and protect communities from criminal violence, particularly kidnapping and terrorism, in close collaboration with state governments and National Assembly. Strengthen the capacity of customs and immigration services to patrol and monitor our borders using aerial and ground-based technology, and prevent violent groups using forests and other public lands as hideouts by revitalizing agro rangers and forest guards. Integrated identity database is the next point. The incoming government will sustain the current efforts on integration of all data and expand the database and other such assets as useful tools for security and safety of citizens in line with global best practices. International collaboration. The government will prioritize collaborations with immediate neighboring countries and strategic partners and allies, and will continue to empower and, where necessary, seek to expand the operations of multinational joint task force. As you are aware, the United States has established 2 drone bases in Niger, while France is still maintaining significant influence on the Francophone countries that are in our neighbors and in the Sahel as a whole. And of course, the European Union also has its activities there. So we need to have some collaboration with them. Finally, reposition the police. The incoming government will boost public confidence in the Nigerian police and other internal security or law enforcement agencies by increasing recruitment, providing high-tech, non-lethal weapon equipment with corresponding manpower development schemes. With this, I end my presentation so that we continue with the discussion. Thank you very much.